When a former Lakers champion starts publicly recruiting an injured superstar on social media, are we witnessing genius-level tampering or a franchise's desperation reaching critical mass? Buckle up, basketball junkies, because the Giannis Antetokounmpo saga just took a turn from intriguing speculation into full-blown, social media-fueled recruiting chaos. Former Lakers champion Dwight Howard. Yes, that Dwight Howard has decided to throw gasoline on the fire by publicly urging the Greek freak to take his sweet time recovering from a calf strain, so he's ready for his theoretical Lakers debut. This isn't subtle. This isn't coded language. This is a former champion literally telling a superstar to rest up for his arrival in Los Angeles. The audacity is breathtaking. The implications are staggering. And the questions this raises about the Lakers' actual ability to pull off this blockbuster are absolutely critical to answer right now. Let's address the elephant in the room immediately. Dwight Howard's tweet. Giannis, don't go trying to play on that calf strain, just take your time and get back, right Lake show need you, walks an incredibly fine line between enthusiastic fandom and potential tampering territory. Now, Howard isn't currently employed by the Lakers organization, which technically gives him more latitude to say whatever he wants. But make no mistake, this public recruitment effort sends a clear message about what's being discussed behind closed doors in Los Angeles. Howard didn't stop there, either. He's been vocal about his excitement over the prospect of pairing Antetokounmpo with Luka and LeBron James, creating what would arguably be the most devastating trio in NBA history. On paper, it's basketball nirvana, three generational talents, each capable of dominating games in completely different ways, converging in purple and gold. But here's where we need to pump the brakes and inject some cold, hard reality into this fever dream. Wanting something and actually being able to acquire it are two fundamentally different things. The Lakers' desire for Giannis is obvious and understandable. Their pathway to actually landing him? That's where things get complicated, messy, and potentially impossible. Let's talk numbers, because in the modern NBA, championship dreams live or die based on salary cap mathematics. Giannis Antetokounmpo is making approximately $48.8 million this season. That's not just significant money, that's franchise-altering, roster-reshaping, future-mortgaging money. The Lakers' most valuable trade chip right now is Austin Reaves, who's been playing like one of the absolute best guards in basketball. His emergence from solid role player to legitimate all-star caliber talent has been one of the season's most compelling storylines. But here's the problem that keeps Rob Pelinka up at night. Reaves is currently making just $13.9 million per year. Do the math. Even if Milwaukee somehow decided that Reaves represents the centerpiece they want in a Giannis trade, which is far from guaranteed, the salary numbers don't remotely work. The Lakers would need to include Rui Hachimura, $17 million, plus additional players, plus potentially involve third, or even fourth teams just to make the financial mechanics function. And we haven't even discussed draft picks yet. Milwaukee isn't trading a two-time MVP in his prime for anything less than a historic haul of future assets. We're talking multiple first-round picks, multiple pick swaps, and probably some additional young talent beyond Reaves. The Lakers' draft capital cupboard isn't exactly overflowing after previous trades, which creates another massive obstacle. The most realistic scenario, and this is crucial for Lakers fans to understand, involves waiting until the offseason when Los Angeles can offer Reaves a max contract extension that significantly increases his salary for trade matching purposes and simplifies the roster gymnastics required. But that also means this isn't happening at the February trade deadline, which is when most expect Giannis to potentially move if he requests a trade. Now, let's address the uncomfortable truth that Howard's tweet inadvertently highlighted. Giannis Antetokounmpo is dealing with injuries more frequently than anyone wants to admit. The current calf strain that's sidelining him isn't an isolated incident. It's part of a concerning pattern that's developed over the past several seasons. Antetokounmpo missed the entire Bucks playoff run in 2024. He was significantly limited during the 2023 postseason. Now he's dealing with another soft tissue injury that's keeping him off the court during a critical stretch of the regular season. For a player whose game is built on explosive athleticism, relentless drives to the basket, and physical dominance, these accumulating injuries should trigger serious red flags. Here's the reality that Lakers brass must confront. Big men historically don't become healthier as they age. The wear and tear compounds. The recovery time lengthens. The risk of catastrophic injury increases. Antetokounmpo turns 30 years old this month, which means he's entering the phase of his career where maintaining peak physical condition becomes exponentially more challenging. Compare this to Anthony Davis, who the Lakers already employ and who has his own well-documented injury struggles. Would Los Angeles really want to construct a championship core around two injury-prone big men, both making max money, both requiring careful load management, both representing significant risk factors come playoff time? The counter-argument, of course, is that when healthy, Giannis remains arguably the single most dominant player in basketball. His combination of size, skill, athleticism, and two-way impact is genuinely unprecedented. On his best nights, he's unstoppable, a legitimate 40-point, 15-rebound, 5-assist, 3-block force of nature who warps entire defensive schemes. But when healthy, is doing a lot of heavy lifting in that sentence. Championship windows are narrow, especially with LeBron James potentially in his final season. Can the Lakers afford to gamble their immediate future on a player whose availability is increasingly questionable? Let's spend a moment appreciating what Austin Reaves has become, because his development fundamentally changes this entire conversation. Reaves isn't just a solid role player anymore. He's evolved into a legitimate offensive engine who can create his own shot, facilitate for others, and provide clutch scoring when games hang in the balance. His shooting percentages are elite. His basketball IQ is off the charts. His chemistry with both Doncic and James is already established and functioning at a high level. Most importantly, he's healthy, available, and ascending rather than potentially declining. Trading Reaves for Antetokounmpo means exchanging a known commodity, a player who fits perfectly within the Lakers' system and culture, for a superstar with legitimate injury concerns and no guarantee of long-term availability. It's the classic bird in hand versus two in the bush scenario that defines high-stakes NBA decision-making. Would Milwaukee even want Reaves as the centerpiece of a Giannis trade? That's genuinely debatable. If the Bucks are tearing down and rebuilding, they're probably prioritizing draft picks and younger prospects over a 26-year-old guard who's already approaching his prime. Reaves is fantastic, but he's not the type of foundational piece you build a 5-year reconstruction around. This creates a fascinating paradox. The Lakers' best trade asset might not be valuable enough to land Giannis, but he's too valuable to include in a package for anyone lesser. It's roster construction purgatory, and it's exactly why these blockbuster trades are so difficult to execute. Howard's enthusiasm about pairing Antetokounmpo with Doncic and James isn't baseless. On paper, it's absolutely terrifying for the rest of the league. Imagine the offensive versatility. Doncic orchestrating from the perimeter, Giannis attacking downhill like a freight train, and LeBron providing veteran savvy and clutch playmaking. Defensively, you'd have Giannis protecting the rim while LeBron and Doncic. Well, okay, defense might still be an issue, but super teams don't always work the way we imagine. Basketball history is littered with examples of star-studded rosters that looked unstoppable in theory, but flamed out spectacularly in practice. Chemistry matters. Role definition matters. Ego management matters. Fitting 3 ball-dominant players into one coherent offensive system is exponentially harder than simply adding their individual statistics together. There's also the practical reality that if the Lakers trade for Giannis, they're gutting their depth to do it. Reaves, Hachimura, and multiple other rotation players would be gone. You'd be left with 3 superstars and a roster filled with minimum salary veterans hoping to catch lightning in a bottle. That's not a sustainable championship formula. That's a desperate gamble that either works immediately or collapses catastrophically. Here's where the Lakers' strategic calculus gets truly complex. If Giannis requests a trade before the February deadline, which seems increasingly likely given Milwaukee's continued struggles, Los Angeles probably can't make a competitive offer. The salary matching doesn't work, the assets aren't sufficient, and other teams with better packages will outbid them. But if the Lakers wait until the offseason when they can extend Reaves and create a more financially viable trade package, they risk Giannis already being elsewhere. The Celtics, Heat, Warriors, and numerous other franchises will be aggressively pursuing him. Waiting might mean missing the opportunity entirely. This is the classic NBA prisoner's dilemma. Act too quickly with an insufficient offer and get rejected, or wait for better positioning and watch your target sign elsewhere. There's no perfect answer, only calculated risks and educated guesses about how the market will develop. Rob Pelinka's reputation as a general manager will be defined by how he navigates this exact scenario. Does he make an aggressive, potentially franchise-altering push for Giannis, knowing the odds are against him? Or does he exercise patience, continue building around Doncic and the current core, and trust that sustainable success comes from smart, incremental moves rather than desperation swings? Look, I understand why Dwight Howard is out here publicly recruiting Giannis Antetokounmpo. The possibility of landing a player of that caliber is intoxicating. The idea of pairing him with Luka Doncic creates championship visions that are impossible to ignore. And if you're a Lakers fan, you've been conditioned to believe that superstars eventually find their way to Los Angeles. It's practically franchise destiny at this point. But destiny doesn't account for salary cap realities, injury histories, or the competitive bidding wars that define modern NBA trade markets. The Lakers should absolutely explore every possible avenue to acquire Giannis. They should make their best offer. They should leverage every relationship and asset at their disposal. However, and this is critical, they should not mortgage their entire future on a player whose availability is increasingly questionable and whose acquisition might require sacrificing the depth and chemistry that makes them competitive right now. Sometimes the smartest move is recognizing when a target is beyond realistic reach and pivoting to more attainable alternatives. Dwight Howard's recruiting pitch is entertaining, bold, and generates headlines. But championship teams are built on cold calculation, not social media enthusiasm. The Lakers need to approach the Giannis situation with clear eyes, realistic expectations, and a backup plan that doesn't leave them devastated if they miss out on the Greek Freak sweepstakes. So here's the question for all you Lakers faithful out there. Would you trade Austin Reaves, Rui Hachimura, and multiple future first-round picks for an injury-prone Giannis Antetokounmpo? Or would you rather build sustainably around the core you already have? This isn't an easy answer, and I want to hear your takes in the comments below. And if you're as fired up about this trade drama as I am, smash that like button and let's keep this conversation going.